Hi, we're Connor and Kristen Mulletts, and this is why we're moving to Buffalo. Yeah, so where this all began was back in 2020. At the beginning of the summer, Kristen really felt like there was something coming, and so we were trying to do really intentional things to give God extra space to hear His voice, for Him to lead us in any direction He wanted to.
We were on a walk one day, and I just pretty much looked over at Connor and I said, "What do you think about moving?" And he was like, "Yeah, maybe we are. We'll just have to keep praying about that."
After about 2 weeks, we had our outdoor service in September, and at the end, Chris, who was speaking that Sunday, he sang, which is something he doesn't usually do, and he sang the goodness of God, and it's so crazy. It's like, as he was singing those words, I really felt like God was saying to me, Connor, all your life I've been faithful, and all your life I have been so, so good. And even though life might not look the same this time next year, you are still going to be able to sing about my goodness.
So after that, Connor and I started praying about which cities we felt like God was calling us to, because it was interesting to have this call to move without a city. And so we had a list of 5 cities, and on the list was Buffalo, New York. So when we started going through this, we thought to ourselves, well, we don't know if we're on the right track. We have no wisdom. We need someone to help process this with us. And immediately we thought of Chris and Kathy because they did our premarital counseling. So we met with them for dinner. And I remember that Kathy started crying because she was so overwhelmed with the Holy Spirit moving in our lives and our obedience. And Chris Norman said, when there is a rekindling of God's Spirit, that sometimes people just have this rekindling of the flame and other people get sent. So we went in November. It was awesome. We went and saw Niagara Falls. We had a lot of good wings. But the best thing that happened was that before our trip, Brian and Brian were speaking at Grace North, and I don't remember which Brian said it, but one of the Brians said that someone in here should take the assignment that God has given you. And I felt like that was for us at the time. And then they followed up with this quote from The Lion and the Witch and the Wardrobe, where it's the little girl talking to the beaver, and she's asking about Aslan. And she asks, "Is he safe?" And the beaver says, "Of course he isn't safe. He's a lion, but he's good." And Aslan represents God. So of course God isn't safe, but he's good. And so we get to Buffalo, we walk into our Airbnb, and on a sign in the Airbnb is "Welcome, Kristen and Connor." And in quotes it says, "Of course he isn't safe, but he's good." It was just such a cool moment because leading up to this, we're praying like, "God, please just show us that we're even on the right track, that we're hearing you, that this isn't some sort of figment of our imagination, but that we're actually following you and taking steps of faith." And it was an actual sign from God. So it was just confirmation that this was something we should keep praying about.
Yeah, so at the end of March, we decided to go to the 12-hour burn at Gospel House. And towards the end of the night, there was a prayer time where they encouraged you to pray with people around you. And then Tom Maxwell from our prayer team at Grace came up to me, and he looked at me and said, "Connor, when they were singing about living water, I got a picture of you standing under Niagara Falls." And I am just I'm actually freaking out because I didn't just respect God, I realized God is not safe. God is not safe, but He is so good. And I was questioning so many things, and it was God took me and was "No, I want you to go to Buffalo."
So I think back to what Chris told us at the beginning of all of this, that when there's a move of God's Spirit, for some people, they're like us and they get sent. But for most people, there's this rekindling of the flame. And for that to happen, we have to give God the space to do that. And I wonder what it would look like for you to give God the space to do that in your life, to rekindle the flame of His Spirit and what He is asking you to do and steps of faith He wants you to take.
From the beginning, this has been about just hungering and thirsting for God's Spirit, wanting to see His will done on this earth, and saying yes every day to His calling to be a missionary in everyday life.